A guy named Jake moved to Los Angeles from Brazil. He had been learning English for years. He knew grammar rules better than most Americans. His vocabulary was impressive. He could write essays, send emails, and even understand movies without subtitles. But when he spoke, disaster. Whenever he tried to have a conversation, his mind would first think in Portuguese. Then he would try to translate into English. Then he would realize the words didn't fit perfectly. Then he would pause. Then he would feel nervous. Then he would say the sentence. Conversations felt robotic. His confidence dropped. One day, Jake had enough. He made a decision. He was going to stop thinking in Portuguese. Something simple but powerful. Instead of translating, he started training his brain to think in English. At first it was hard, but soon he realized that if he changed just a few small habits, his brain started adapting. English started flowing naturally, and today Jake speaks fluently without thinking, without fear. So what did he do? And how can you do the same? Let me show you. First, let me ask you something. When you look at an apple, do you see the word apple in your mind before saying it? No, you just know it's an apple. That's how native speakers think. They don't translate. They connect words directly to ideas. And that's what you need to train your brain to do. The first step. 1. Stop translating in your head. This is the number one mistake that stops people from speaking fluently. Let me prove it. Imagine you're at a restaurant and the waiter asks, "What would you like to order?" Now, if you're still thinking in your native language, your brain does this. Okay, in my language, I would say I will have a burger. Now, let me find the English words for that. Wait, should I say I will have or I want? Maybe. Can I get a burger? Sounds more natural. Awkward silence. A burger. By this time, the waiter is already looking at you weird. But if you think directly in English, it's simple. You hear the question. Your brain sees the burger in your mind. You say, "I'll have a burger, please." No thinking, no translating. Just speaking. So, how do you train your brain to stop translating? I'll tell you exactly how. 2. Start with simple English. Thoughts. The best way to stop thinking in your language is to train your brain to think in English all the time. But you don't have to start with big, complex sentences. Start small. For example, when you wake up in the morning, say your thoughts in English instead of thinking, "Ugh, I need to get up. I have a lot of work today." In your native language, say this in your mind in English. Time to wake up. I have a lot of work today. When you're brushing your teeth, say, "I need to buy more toothpaste." When you're drinking coffee, think, "This coffee is too hot." At first, it might feel slow, but if you do this every day, something magical will happen. Your brain will start automatically thinking in English, and when that happens, speaking English will feel easy. 3. Speak without fear of mistakes. Do you know why babies learn languages so fast? Because they don't care about mistakes. They just speak wrong or right. They don't care. That's why they learn so quickly. But adults were too afraid. What if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at my accent? What if I forget a word? Guess what? Nobody cares. Native speakers don't care if you make mistakes. They care about what you're saying, not how perfect it sounds. So, the faster you stop worrying about mistakes, the faster you'll improve. Speak even if it's wrong, even if it's not perfect, and soon, it will start sounding perfect on its own now. You might be thinking, okay, I understand. But how do I practice every day? That's what I'll tell you next. But before I do, let me ask you, do you really want to be fluent? Because if you do, then you need to follow these next steps and trust me, they work like magic. Do you want to hear them? If yes, then let me know and I'll continue, because the next steps will take you from thinking in English to speaking like a native. At this point, you already understand why thinking in your native language is slowing you down, and how to start shifting your thoughts into English. Now, let's take it to the next level. These next steps will make sure you never go back to translating in your head. Are you ready? Let's go. 4. Describe the world around you in English. This is one of the most powerful techniques I've ever seen. It's simple, but it trains your brain to think in English fast. Here's what you do. As you go through your day, describe what you see in English, just like a narrator in a movie. For example, you're walking down the street, gives it a sunny day. The air feels fresh. That woman is wearing a red dress. You're waiting for the bus, gives the bus is late again. There are 5 people waiting. That man looks tired. You're at a cafe, the coffee smells great. The barista is making a latte. I can hear soft music playing. At first, you'll do this in short, simple sentences. That's okay. The goal is to get used to thinking in English naturally, without translating. And guess what? After a few weeks, you'll start thinking in English, automatically even when you're not trying. This is how your brain rewires itself. Point 5. Have many conversations with yourself now. Let's make it even more fun. Instead of just describing things, start talking to yourself in English. Wait, does that sound crazy? Maybe, but trust me, it works. Here's how you do it. You ask yourself a question in English, then answer it in English. Example. You. What should I eat for lunch? You. Maybe a sandwich. But I had one yesterday. Maybe. I'll have pasta. Or you. How was my day, you? It was good. I finished my work early and watched a movie. The movie was really interesting. It doesn't matter if you do this out loud or in your head. The goal is to practice thinking in English in a natural way. Do this every day, and you'll start noticing something amazing when you have real conversations with people. Your brain will already be trained to think in English. No more translating. No more getting stuck. Just smooth, natural. English 6. Learn phrases, not just words. Big mistake many learners make is trying to memorize too many words, but words alone won't help you speak fluently. What you really need to learn is phrases, because that's how native speakers talk. For example, instead of learning the word hungry, learn the phrase, I'm starving. Instead of learning very tired, learn, I'm exhausted. Instead of learning how are you, learn how's it going. this work? Because when you learn phrases, your brain doesn't have to build sentences from scratch. The words are already connected in your mind. And when that happens, speaking becomes automatic. So next time you study, focus on learning phrases, not just words. This will make your English sound natural, just like a native speaker. 7. Listen, like a baby. How did you learn your first language? Did you memorize grammar rules? Did you study vocabulary lists? No, you listened. For months, maybe even years before you spoke. You just listened to the people around you. And then, one day, words started coming out of your mouth. This is how babies learn language. And guess what? It works for adults too. If you want to think in English, you need to surround yourself with English every single day. Listen to podcasts. Watch TV. Shows in English. Listen to audiobooks. Even when you're not paying attention, just let English play in the background. Why? Because your brain will start absorbing the patterns of English. And the more you listen, the easier it will be to think in English without effort. 8. Speak more than you read or write. Let me ask you something. If you wanted to learn how to swim, would you spend all your time reading books about swimming? No. You'd get in the water and start swimming. Speaking English is the same. If you spend most of your time reading and writing, but never actually speaking, you'll never train your brain to think fast in English. So here's the rule. Spend more time speaking than studying. Find a language partner. Talk to yourself. Join an English-speaking group. Whatever it takes, speak every day. And if you don't have anyone to practice with, no problem. Talk to yourself. It sounds silly, but it's one of the best ways to practice. Remember, the more you speak, the faster you'll think in English. 9. The 5-second rule. This is a secret trick that will force your brain to think in English. Whenever someone asks you a question in English, answer within 5 seconds. No thinking, no translating. Just respond. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just say something.